Should dynamic pricing be allowed for mega events? It's August 2024. Oasis just announced their reunion tour. The standing tickets would cost £148.50. Excitedly, you join the Ticketmaster queue with the price set in your mind. We wait and wait as 2 hours pass. The queue slowly moves forward as our emotional commitment rises. Finally, after hours, we reach the checkout, ready to pay our £148. But guess what? The price is now £450. This shock was not by one, but thousands of infuriated customers. This resulted in the UK CMA to launch a formal investigation. But I want to ask something the headlines didn't. Was Ticketmaster just being greedy? Or is there a more interesting economic story here? Let's start with saying how economist Fred Hirsch called concert tickets positional goods. Unlike milk, their value comes precisely from the fact that not everyone can have them. Being in that crowd of 90,000 means something, because 9 million people weren't. The demand curve isn't just personal, it's socially constructed. So dynamic pricing here isn't simply allocating scarce seats, it's running a positional auction, selling status alongside the ticket itself. Here's why it felt so personal. Kahneman and Tversky showed in 1979 that we evaluate prices against a reference point, and losses hit roughly 2.5 times harder than equivalent gains. The moment fans saw £148.50, that became their psychological anchor. So the jump to £450 at checkout wasn't processed as the market price. It was experienced as a loss of over £300. And the endowment effect. 2 hours queuing creates genuine psychological entitlement. And the backlash was entirely predictable. Ticketmaster didn't just use dynamic pricing, they revealed it at the worst possible psychological moment. So now let's move on to Pagao, who gave us the framework of price discrimination. First-degree price discrimination charges each buyer their exact willingness to pay, theoretically efficient and eliminating dead weight loss entirely similar to an auction. That's the textbook defense of dynamic pricing. Next is third-degree discrimination, which charges different groups different prices based on observable characteristics, like a Happy Meal costing £2.50 in Brazil and £4.89 in the UK. But Ticketmaster's algorithm can't read your mind. It infers willingness to pay from proxies, device type, postcode, browsing history. That makes it third degree, not first, and it can be deeply regressive, reflecting assumptions about income rather than how much someone genuinely values the ticket. Now, what this diagram shows is that Ticketmaster isn't just a simple monopolist, it's a two-sided platform, connecting artists and venues on one side and with fans on the other. Yet, both groups need each other, and Ticketmaster controls the link. This generates powerful network effects. More fans make the platform indispensable to artists. More artists make it impossible for fans to leave. This is precisely why the weakest party, us fans, bears the highest cost. That brings the question, what ticketing mechanism will actually work? Nobel laureate William Vickery's sealed bid second price auction tackles this directly. Each fan submits their true willingness to pay in secret. The highest bidder wins, but only pays the second highest price. No incentive to lie, and scalpers are starved out because the primary market captures the value. But there's one problem, it's deeply unpopular. Paying £300 because someone else bid £1 over feels arbitrary, even if it's mathematically fair. This is the core insight of the mechanism design. The theoretical optimal mechanism and the social acceptable one are rarely the same thing, but it may be a step towards the real solution. That brings us to conclude with Lipsy's and Lancaster's theory of the second best. Fixing one market failure doesn't guarantee better outcomes when others remain. Breaking up Ticketmaster alone wouldn't solve information asymmetry, the positional nature of these tickets, or the grip of reference pricing on consumer behavior. Dynamic pricing under monopoly is harmful, but the deeper failure happened long before the Oasis queue, when we allowed a single company to own not just the market, but every step competitors needed to reach it. The deeper question was never about the pricing. It was, why did we let one company own an entire market, and what took us so long to notice? Thank you for watching, and please scan the QR code to access the full bibliography.